Hello, this is Dr. David Billstrom, coming to you from the 27th Annual World Congress of the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. And yesterday I got a chance to listen to a lecture by one of my favorite lecturers, Jill Carnahan, and she spoke of the gut and skin connection. So as the folks that have come to see us, we always talk about when there's skin issues, the first thing you're thinking about is the gut. So what Dr. Carnahan talked about was metabolic endotoxemia. So when the gut becomes leaky, and there's many things that can cause this, such as medication like the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory medications, birth control pills, stress, acid-blocking medicines, all kinds of things. Now we've gone through that in other lectures. But the intestinal permeability disorder allows lipopolysaccharides, which are the coatings of bacteria, to get from the intestine into the bloodstream, and this creates huge metabolic issues, thus endotoxic or metabolic endotoxemia, endo meaning inside, toxemia, toxins. So these are toxins coming from the inside, coming from our guts. And when this floods into the system, it peaks about 4 hours after each meal. You get a huge problem with metabolic issues in the body. So it's a big driver, things like diabetes, obesity, cardiovascular disease, breast cancer, all cancers. Now, Dr. Carnahan shared a very personal story that hit home for me personally. Dr. Carnahan practices in Boulder, Colorado, and she has a history of a lot of autoimmune diseases and breast cancer, which she shared that story before in some of her lectures. But she was talking about the historic floods that happened a couple years ago in Boulder. Now, when I did my residency at University of Colorado and lived in Boulder, that's one of the such a dry climate. It's a high altitude desert basically. And so here are these historic floods in Boulder, and the basement of her office building was flooded, and mold, a very bad mold, started growing in the basement. Well, here she was the very first day after the flood. She came in and she started feeling sick. And she shared this personal story and shared personal photographs for the very first time. It was very emotional how she started getting these terrible skin issues. Her eyes, eyelids and around her eyes was so bright red and swollen. It was just unbelievably painful to look at the pictures. She had terrible acne, and she had this all over raised, red, angry looking rash all the way from the neck down. She suffered for 2 years with this. But what she figured out was that she ended up having that mold that was in the basement, and mold floats all over in our world, gets in our nose and our mouth, we swallow it down. Well, this mold was able to set up a happy home in her gut. Mold in the gut creates a massive leaky gut, and then creates a massive potential for this metabolic endotoxemia. It's one reason why we always test for this in the clinic, and we find mold in people's guts with autoimmune disease so often as this driver. So here's this huge, huge metabolic endotoxemia, all the toxins, these lipopolysaccharides from the shells of bacteria, but also all the toxins coming from the mold, for example, and really all the stuff in our gut. It gets pooped in the toilet because that's where that stuff should go, not into our bloodstream. So here's Dr. Carnahan with this massive metabolic endotoxemia driving huge skin issues. Now, the other chronic diseases that can be driven by this are things like, that you may not think about, like anorexia nervosa, Parkinson's, anxiety, depression, hypogonadism in men, low testosterone that drives so many issues. But then the skin issues that have been associated with this are things like acne, eczema, psoriasis, scleroderma, which really affects the skin, vitiligo is another autoimmune disease of the skin. And so take-home message is, if you have a lot of skin issues, think of the gut. Thank you so much.